Welcome to Elite Rugby SandC podcast, the best podcast talking all things rugby and strength and conditioning. At Elite Rugby SandC, we provide athletes with strength and conditioning programs that provides you with everything you need to become a beast and take your game to the next level. No matter what stage of the year or season, Elite Rugby SandC has a program for you. You can try before you buy, so try our 7-day $7 trial to get a taste of what we offer here at Elite Rugby SandC. So take your game to the next level, become a beast, and join Elite Rugby SandC today. Today on the podcast, amateur rugby union athlete Kyle Baulman, aka KB, joins me for a chat. KB plays his rugby down in Canberra, Australia for the Western Districts Rugby Club, which plays in the John I Dent Cup. When KB isn't tearing it up on the rugby field or smashing the weights in the gym, he works for ACT Education as a teacher, working as the Assistant Director for Positive Behaviours for Learning. On this episode, we talk about 3 key topics: leadership, strength and conditioning training for rugby athletes, and how to be the best teammate on and off the field. This was a fantastic episode, and I'm really excited to share this episode with you all because I know you're going to learn a lot from KB. Thanks again for joining me today, KB. I really appreciate it. Enjoy. G'day, KB. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Just enjoying the holidays and the sunshine, mate. Yeah, good. Yourself?
Yeah, going well, thanks. It's good to see that you're, quite relaxed, after a big year of school being a teacher. You definitely earn those extra holidays that you get.
Yeah, it's been a big year, mate. So particularly kids coming out of COVID and them transitioning from home learning. So it's been a big slog. So yeah, I've loved this holidays.
That's good, mate. So how's the body and mind traveling? Are they ready for another rugby season this year?
Mate, it's very good at the moment. I'm getting a bit long in the tooth these days, so I've been tossing up around the idea of pulling the pin and transitioning out of footy. But the time I've had, I've really made a focus on just separating myself from footy for a little bit and just really relaxing. And because when I am in that space, I go as hard as I can. But having that time away and doing different activities has really helped me sort of recharge. And I'm in a headspace now where I'm like, yeah, ready to go. I'm ready to go all in again. And whether it's one last season or not, I don't know. But yeah, I'm very keen for this season ahead.
It's awesome. It's definitely been a theme. Talking to athletes like yourself and coaches is having that outlet from rugby, and when you are in the off season, have an off season. You can continue to still train in the gym as part of your normal routine and go do some conditioning work, but have that outlet to just relax, go to a family, go focus on another sport, or just go focus on yourself, but not in a rugby sense. So it's really good that you have, maybe learnt the hard way sometimes that you really need to go out there and focus on something else other than rugby at times.
Definitely. Yeah. It's been, that's something I've definitely learned as I've got older, that you got to have a life outside of it. And it's about that balance. You learn it the hard way. You find yourself burning out. I know, I'm sure we'll touch on it, but I've had to take a season off before because, it was all just getting a bit too much. And, but it's about understanding yourself and listening to your body and what you need and responding to that.
100%. And just thinking back to my career as well, was I remember there was a period of that cult age group. I was just so focused on just wanting to be better and all that. And I did get a couple injuries from that. And I think it was maybe just training too much and just led to a bit of burnout. And then when I got into the season, I found a better way to just relax a bit and have some fun with my teammates. And I had one of my better seasons. So I think if you can find that balance and find your outlet, which is unique to you, it's definitely going to have a positive effect on your game.
Yeah, perfect. Absolutely.
So growing up as a young lad, what sports did you play and how did you end up playing rugby?
When I was young, I played soccer. I was a bit of a short, fat kid as a kid. So I got stuck in goals. So I was goalkeeper at Madura Soccer Club for quite a while. And then at about, I remember one Christmas when I was probably 12. It was that transition time between primary school and high school. My family had always been big rugby union guys. My dad played a lot of time for West Rugby, and so did my uncle. They both played for ACT and toured around internationally with the ACT team back in the day. And I think I always knew that I would get into rugby, but I remember I just needed a bit of a push. My parents never put any pressure on me to do like to play rugby or to do anything. They just wanted me to be happy. And I remember talking to my auntie one time saying like, "Oh yeah, like I might play footy next year," and she just like announced it to everyone at Christmas dinner, and everyone was so happy. And then I was like, "Oh, now I've got to do it," and that was how it all started, really. Like yeah, I needed that little bit of a push, but then since then I've never looked back. Um, and then did a little bit of rugby league as well, just through school. But I've always enjoyed rugby and the technicalities of the game, and just how you know it's a game for everyone. Like like you can be any shape or size, and anyone can sort of find a place in the sport.
Hmm. Do you think that's the reason why you've continued to play rugby? Is because of those reasons? And yeah, what has made you want to continue on playing rugby after you did decide when your auntie announced at Christmas, "Hey, KB is playing rugby," but when you got to like graduated after school, continued to play rugby in the seniors? Like, why did you want to continue on playing rugby?
Yeah, I guess my motivation sort of changed a bit. It became more around uh, my own competitiveness, and satisfying that need. I am quite a competitive person, but then also the the bond and the love that you have for your teammates and that sense of community. The community is that's my number one thing, and that's why you know as I'm getting older, like that's all I want to pass on to my teammates and up and coming players around how you look after your club and how you look after your teammates. And, I'm a big believer in you got to pass the place on into a better place than where you started it. Um, yeah, it definitely changed. It went from okay, like I'm going to play sport because I enjoy playing sport, and that's still there. Like I love the game, but now it's much more focused around I love the competitiveness. I love the camaraderie. Um, I love leading a team, and I love uh, helping others and trying to bring the best out in people. So that's been I guess the biggest transition in my personal motivations to play.
No, it's awesome, and I love that point of you want to continue the traditions and uniqueness and the culture of a club onto the next generation. And every year of a rugby club, you're getting a whole bunch of new Colts players, and that's the perfect time to influence them and really shape what the club values onto them and let them bring that tradition through, but then also add some stuff to it as well. And you just don't want to see your rugby organization, your club, go backwards and sort of lose the stuff that you really valued as a player when you first arrived. And I think the best rugby clubs obviously evolve, but continue to have those traditions and make everyone known of them, but proud of them as well. So I think that's a great point that you touched upon.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I was very lucky to have some outstanding players ahead of me when I was coming up, and having my dad and my uncle both a part of the club for a really long time, and then uh, having some really good mentors in the club take me under their wing has made me go right. This is where I want to be. I feel connected. I feel like I belong here, and I want to pass that feeling on to others and keep those good parts of the culture alive, and then adapt to what how the game is, and the different players that come through.
100%. I love that.
Mm.
So I want to talk about leadership today as a big part of the talk. And it's something that probably mentioned a couple of times on the podcast, but never really delved into it. And that's something I want to bring this year on the podcast as well. So how would you describe your leadership style as a captain?
But mine, I feel like I can be a bit of a hard ass, but on the field. But I think it's um, one of the things that I really value is that if you are being hard, it's about being hard on a standard. It's not being hard on an individual, and it's about having like identifying your own values and your own principles, but also collaborating with the other leadership team within the squad about what is it that we want to achieve, and then how are we going to get there. And that's through our values, and that's through our work ethic, and what does that look like explicitly. And then so for me, once you have that identified, that's your that's where you stay. Right, you got to keep that. And at times, at various points in the season, whether it's pre-season, whether it's like grim, freezing cold, pouring rain in Queanbeyan or something like that, it's you got to maintain that the whole time. And so it's about, for me, like I'll always let people know if I feel like a standard is slipping, but then I'll come through on a nurturing aspect afterwards. You can't just be a prick to everyone. You need to, for me, people need to feel loved and cared for. And I think that's really, really important. And sometimes can go missing. You get people that are just hard but then don't have the follow up with that compassion or the because that's where I feel like that's where the learning is. It's that conversation afterwards, or you debrief after a game, or you buy your mate a beer if you for whatever happened, or it's about it's about that follow up. And I think that's something I've learned throughout the years, is how to get boys together, by you can set a standard, but then to bring everyone together and unpack and debrief with each other in a really lighthearted and nurturing way. I'm big on that. So yeah, it's been a I've captained teams for quite a long time now, and it's at the start it was more about like being a bit of an authority, but as I've learned, I feel I work much better, I guess, with a bit of kindness afterwards and looking after your mates, um, and that's a key for me. So it's holding those standards, but then unpacking and debriefing with your mates afterwards to maintain those moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think that was a question I was going to ask. What was your leadership style when you first got into a captain role to where you are now? Because I think everyone can sort of relate. You just want to be a bit like strict and you want it this way, and you're so tunnel visioned on how to do it. But then when you experience a few more seasons, you're like, oh yeah, that's probably not the way to do it. There's other ways to do it. And actually, I think that nurture part is quite important, because people want to be heard and just valued. And if you're just that prick all the time, you're not going to get people to follow you the way that you want to be followed. So yeah, that nurture part is really important.
Yeah, and I think another thing that I've learned is leaning on your supports and leaning on your your leadership team, your coach, um, the different players with all their own unique skill sets within the team, and letting them be the experts in their field and listening to that advice. Often in a game, I'll go and talk to various players and get their opinion, or ask them like, "Hey, I've ID'd this. Like, what do you think?" Or like, it's not all about just you, and you don't have to do everything yourself. And once I realized that, I found it so much more enjoyable, and I think the team got a better leader from me. because they're heard. Everyone has a degree of ownership then, and then that's when you start really firing as a team. When everyone owns it, everyone feels responsible and connected. Everyone's got a bit of input, but you also have that clear direction, and that's where I see my role is keeping that direction, but with the input of those around me.
No, that's a great point. And you probably touched upon the point with the question that I want to ask now is when things aren't going your way during a game, what do you say to the team and what do you do to get them back on focus under the heat of the pressure, scoreboard pressure late in the game, some bad calls not going your way? So yeah.
That's a really good question because, like as you know, we've had a few lean years recently, so it has been a bit tough. But I think, and we've got a really young squad, and so for me, rugby can be broken down into a couple of minutes at a time. There's often, whether it's a stoppage, whether it's a break or something slows right down, you can break it down into 1 minute, 2 minute blocks or 30-second blocks at times, and it's about keeping everyone. For me, it's keeping everyone level-headed and calm to be able to perform our best for that 30-second for a minute block. And then once that happens, moving on to the next minute or the next block. All right. So it's not running your race before the race is even run. Like it's about, little tiny milestones and little goals, right? And it might be that I'll go, righto, we're going to plug the corner here and we're going to put pressure on the line out and then hopefully get a result out of that. All right. And then when that happens, you G everyone up, right? And you get everyone started to believe again because pressure comes and people react to pressure in all different ways. But it's about celebrating those little wins and keeping everyone amped and at that peak level to perform and keep their mental space right to be able to make the best decisions at the time, whilst not overstimulating them. You don't want pumping everyone up too much that they're trying to be a hero or they're shooting out of a line or all those little things, all those little details. So for me, it's about keeping everyone mindful of little goals within the game. And it might be like, we need a spark now, boys. Like we need a big contact here. And that, like little things like that can shift the game completely. And so it's just about reminding them about, there's going to be momentum swings. Let's celebrate those little wins, those little milestones, and those little wins will add up.
I think that's the great thing about rugby and a lot of team sport is momentum. And it's a great point that you mentioned that, that 30-second block of that 1 or 2 minutes, like momentum can shift in that time period and you can, get a try from 50 meters out, or you could plug the corner, put pressure on the line out and then force a turnover and then score, and then that gets you back right in the game or that gives you the lead. And you might have felt like you've been down and out for quite a while, but just that one moment, people were able to capitalize and stick to the game plan and put pressure into points. So I think, not looking too far in advance during the game, but then also the hardest thing's probably just to forget about some of the mistakes that happened as well. Like you might have made a bad call or you gave away a penalty or something happened. If you have the ability to, forget about it, move on and think what can I do in this next minute or two to help my team get back the momentum or back the ball. I think it's a very hard thing to do, but if you can try and focus on it and practice it at training, it's definitely going to happen in a game. And I think you put yourself as an individual player, but then for the team, it's just something that needs to happen and it's vital as well to the sport.
Yeah, and that's where coaching that resilience and building those people's, like your teammates' resilience, particularly as an SNC, like we really value that you need to build that resilience because it is going to get tough. And then to be able to accept what happened, but move on. And that's tough in a game. Like that's, things are moving fast, and you know, people's adrenaline's running hot. So it's about coaching that resilience to be able to go, right, it happened, move on, learn from it, and we'll move on to the next block.
I think I maybe quote Ted Lasso a little bit too much on this podcast and in life, but there's a scene where he's talking to one of his players. He's like, I want you to have a memory like a goldfish, 10-second memory, because afterwards you can't control it, you can't change it, so why worry about it, So if you can practice that, I'll go a long way playing rugby, but your life will also change as well.
Definitely. Yeah, I love that.
So when things are going your way during a game, how do you keep the momentum and keep winning the game as well?
Oh, that's the best feeling, right? Like, it's when you feel like you got that momentum, you got that roll on, everything you do, you're making ad line constantly. That's the feeling you're chasing, and it's about keeping the boys up at that level. I think one of the big challenges is, and I think everyone's been there, is that you've gone into the sheds at halftime and you've got a good lead and you're feeling good, and then you take your foot off the throat and a team comes back, or even if for a period, you get overconfident, and that's it's about, and this is I think is one of the hardest things, is to help a team maintain momentum. And it's about referring back to you, like, what's your direction? What are we trying to achieve? Because sometimes in games, like, you'll have a game plan, and or something that you want to work on, or something that you want to achieve, and you might find that you're scoring tries outside of that plan, and so sometimes people go, well, stuff the plan, we'll just play. And that's okay, and that has its place as well. But there will be those momentum shifts, and you need to go back to your structures and go back to your plan. So it's about keeping everyone, keep them amped, keep them pumped, let them enjoy the footy, let them enjoy that moment. But you need to just remind them that it's not done yet. We haven't achieved anything yet. And that's a big thing that I talk about with my players, is that we haven't won this game yet. This game's not done, and that's something I do refer back to throughout the game. You hear the cliche, like, it's 0-0. I don't think that's good at all. I think like, everyone knows it's not 0-0, and it doesn't work.
That was something I was probably going to ask, because I was just thinking of a follow-up question was, what are some things that you don't like being said? Like, that was one I was thinking is 0-0, and there's another one that I think as well is, when you're playing a very important game, or you might be playing a semi-final, and people are like, this is our grand final. I don't like that either. So yeah, continue on. Was there anything else that you don't like being said?
I think as you're saying there, like, before I answer your question, I think it's about being present in the moment, right? Like, like, it's not true. Like, it's not 0-0. It's not. This is not our grand final. Like, you need to be present in that moment and react and adapt to what's in front of you. And for me, I think, like, one of the things I really hate is, like, someone does make a mistake, and someone in your team might get into them. I feel like there are players out there that they get hot-headed, and that's you need those players as well, right? Like, they have a place in your team, but it's often not done constructively, and I think that's I've developed a level of maturity in my leadership that I can pull someone up, or I can talk to someone in a game constructively. just so you're not dropping heads. Um, like one of the things I don't like during a game is like probably call it like shit talk to the opposition, because they're getting into your head, and if they're getting into your head, and it doesn't matter if you might be winning um, or you might be behind and trailing, if you start shit talking the opposition, or bad talking them, they're starting to get into your head. And for me, like first of all, I think rugby's a game of respect. You play hard and you rip in and you have a beer afterwards. But when you're getting into that sort of more like confrontation with other players, that's when you can lose yourself from your direction. And it is a really fine line about keeping people. You want aggression, you want that physicality, you want that intensity, but it's not stepping over into I'm now like personally attacking someone. And that's what I really try to pull in on players, and try and keep their heads level during a game, because I've just seen so many times where only takes like one or two players to lose their head, and then that momentum swings, or it might be enough spark for the opposition to go, "Nah, we're on now," and they turn it on us. So that's probably the big thing for me is keeping everyone level headed enough, but still maintaining that aggression and that intensity, without getting the opposition into your head.
You don't have to like the opposition, but you have to respect them. Like there's many clubs and organizations that you just don't like because of many reasons, but you got to respect the fact that they also train during the week. They also went to the gym. So why shouldn't they not win this weekend as well? So you really have to respect that they put in hard work, but you got to keep in mind that you've also put in some hard work, and we're not going to let you win. So I think it's a great point of, yeah, you can have a bit of banter when you're playing and all that stuff, but if you're shit talking too much, that they end up taking real estate in your head, and you don't want that. You want to keep focusing on what you can do for the game plan and for the team, and keep putting that really good performance in place, because I've seen it as well many times. Like players start to shit talk, and then the momentum shifts, and that they stop shit talking and like, oh fuck, I probably shouldn't have said that, or this and that, and they sometimes end up losing the game, and it's not really a good reflection on him and the team as well.
Yeah, I think I often think about like, other clubs are just like us. Like there's going to be a version of me at this other club, and there's going to be versions of all these other players at your club. Like footy players are. It's why we get along quite well. It's like we're often very similar, and it's just the fact that you wear a different jersey. And I think what most people find is that when you do meet them outside of that footy area, or you're in a rep team or whatever, you generally get along really well. There's players that play at, some people like to play at a really high intensity of aggression, or some players are lippy, or some players don't mind trying to get a bit of an edge with it. Might be a dog shot or something, but you can't let that take real estate in your head. You got to keep on your own direction, and that's tough. But that's something that I think comes with a bit of maturity. Like I said, we've had quite a young squad this last couple of seasons, so myself and the leadership team really work hard at.
I think that's one of the cool things about rugby as well. Something you touched upon is we go hard. We go out there, smash each other and all that. But at the end of the day, as soon as the whistle blows, we shake hands, you go on the sheds, you reminisce about the game, have a beer, and just, that camaraderie. I think that's really unique to rugby, and I haven't really been involved in other sports that are like that. So I think that's just such a unique thing that rugby offers.
Definitely. yeah, that's yeah. I've played a few sports, and yeah, it's very unique to rugby, and that, I guess that's what brought me back to playing rugby is that camaraderie and that community.
Mm.
That's an itch I need scratched.
Yeah. So, is there any other advice you have for captains and leaders and athletes wanting to be a leader that comes to mind?
But it's just for me, like you don't have to be the hero. Um, it's not up to you to do everything. Um, you need to you need to draw on your supports and draw on your leadership team. But for upcoming players, like don't rush into it either. Like you don't have to um, try and be the supreme leader straight away. Yeah, for me, I think it like taking time to be patient and to learn and absorb off a range of different leadership styles, um, and identifying within your team or within your club or whatever it is within life, like different leaders that you look at and you go, right, I like this part of their leadership, I like this. I would like to adapt that into my own style, and to be observant of people around you. Um, for me, uh, I as an up like for an upcoming leader, making yourself known and introducing yourself to everyone is really important. Building that connection. Um, you can't be clicky. You don't have to be their best mate, but you should know something about them. You should have something to talk about. You should be able to have a conversation with them, find out what makes them tick, learn their style. I would be able to go through our whole squad and tell you like different strengths and different weaknesses on everyone. Um, and that's really important, I think, to bring out the best in the players around you. So that connection, I think, is really really important.
If you're able to talk and communicate with other people and understand their story, it just makes everything so much easier, and it's something that I really try to do is understand people's stories, because if I can understand what's going on with them, then I might know when something's not going right or when something is going right. And it might not be the best time to blow up at that individual because they've got external pressures going on. And it's also knowing like when good things are happening, because I want to know when good things are happening so I can help celebrate with you. Like it's just you just want to be a part of their life and help them along the way as much as you can. And if you can do that as a leader, then you'll get the best out of them. And if you can get the best out of them, then they're going to perform and do the work and do the training, and it's going to help reflect with the performance on the field. So yeah, you don't have to be a leader straight away for any up and coming athletes, going to senior rugby. You don't have to be a leader straight away. Like earn the right to be a leader, and look to the senior people at the club who are already in those leader positions. See what you can learn from them. See what you can learn from people of influence outside of sport, and then slowly add that in and see how you can add value to the team and also add value to the organization as well.
Yeah, I think that's spot on.
Awesome.
Can't say anything more than that.
Yeah. So moving into strength and conditioning, an area that you enjoy a lot. If you ever
Yep.
do get to meet KB in real life, he's got a nice physique. So he definitely takes pride in his gym training and nutrition as well.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's my outlet. Um, once I wrap up footy, it'll continue to be my outlet. Um, yeah, it's something I really enjoy.
Mm.
Um,
So how
yeah,
has strength and conditioning, like it's vital to our performance, which we all know. Like how has strength and conditioning helped you through your rugby career?
mate, and we might be touching into another question, but for me, um, my game really took a turn, like a big improvement when we got a quality SNC like yourself to um, join us, because it taught me. Uh, I guess when I was younger, it used to be very much lift as heavy as possible, as often as possible. Um, and I learned to listen to my body. And I also learned the importance of power training. And for me, power training has been power and plyometrics has been the most important progression for my in terms of like strength and conditioning into my rugby. It dramatically increased my speed and learning how to run. I think has been really significant for me in terms of my overall performance, and it's also become something I really enjoy. So I love doing those, the complex Olympic lifts and uh, doing all those sort of primer, like sprint tech uh, training. And for me, it's a great challenge. They're really complex movements that need to be done. You can do it for a short little block at a really high intensity with good rest. So you're performing everything at its maximal, and I love that. Like that has been a huge improvement for me because before I would just try and lift as heavy as possible, and uh, I think I was finding I was getting a lot of imbalances in my body, which was causing quite a bit of stress on myself when I was playing. And it meant I couldn't move as well as I could now. So, yeah, it's had a huge impact on my life.
Hi everyone, we just want to take a quick break from this episode. We hope you're enjoying this episode so far and all the content we have produced. We appreciate all the support from our listeners and followers so far. If you haven't already, sign up to Elite Rugby SandC blog today. We provide free exclusive content every single week to our subscribers. You'll find our website link in our bio below. Remember to like, subscribe, and share Elite Rugby SandC on all social media platforms to all your family and friends. Thanks again for all your support, and now back to the episode. And we all fall down the rabbit hole, of just focusing in the gym and just wanting to lift heavy and just do these movements that are definitely vital to your SNC program, but you probably do them too much and probably too heavy and not sort of vary the sets and reps enough. And you probably don't focus on power and, learning how to run. And if you don't know how to, express force really, really quickly, which is our power, then you're not really going to be a good rugby athlete, are you? You can't just have strength and be strong. You need to be able to express that power and force that you have. So it's definitely a game changer for any athlete out there in rugby and rugby league and any sport really, is if you can learn how to, train power and then express the power when you're playing your sport, it's going to be a massive game changer. And then for sport such as rugby, if you don't know how to run properly, then you're wasting energy, and you're probably getting to the end of the game and you're not probably in the position that you need to be. Like you should be at the end of the game feeling screwed and I put everything out there, but you might be feeling extra tired. Whereas if you learn how to run properly and condition yourself properly, you should feel pretty empty at the end of the day, but you were able to give 100% throughout the whole game, not just, the first 10 minutes and the last 10 minutes. You were able to compete at a high level for the 70 minutes, depending if you're playing certain rugby, or 80 minutes. You're just able to just go hard continually. So, yeah, I think those 2 points of power and learning how to run properly is something that we pride ourselves here at Elite Rugby SandC, but all the good strength and conditioning programs have those two components and really make sure that they are a priority of your strength and conditioning program.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's been a massive learning for me. And as you say, you finish a game and you put everything out there, but you're not you haven't overexerted yourself, and hopefully you haven't injured yourself based on your imbalances or poor technique.
We did sort of touch upon in the next question, but let's ask it anyway. So, looking at your strength and conditioning program when you first started in the gym, this could even be prior to just training for rugby. What would be the main differences from now and back then? And what advice would you sort of give a young KB, just starting in the gym?
I train legs now. Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to hate squatting and doing all that, and I got myself a nice set of 11s down there. Um, and then I was at a point, mate, like I remember when I was 18, I had this huge upper body and these skinny little legs, and I'd put my legs together and I'd like sway. It was like I was on a boat. Um, and then, um, and then I got some decent coaching when got into seniors, um, and the club gym program, and sticking to that. And I learned to love training legs these days, and learning. It started off being like, all right, I'm going to train legs. I'm going to lift as heavy as possible all the time, and each week um, I would do like the same sort of weight and for the same reps, for the same sets. And because it's a change, like your body's going to react. And, I did get good improvements there, but then a plateau. And I didn't understand why. And I'll go, all right, I'll change it up and do a different movement. But I was still doing heavy weight, 4 sets, or 3 sets or whatever. But, with age comes a bit of wisdom in that, and you learn off people around you. And with some good coaching, I've learned about the different ranges of sets and reps and the different intensities and how you'll use a block of training as opposed to like every session is my last session in the gym. It's I think that was really important for me to be able to identify, all right, this is a 5-week block. This is where I'm at. This is where I'd like to get to. And this is going to be my RPE moving up towards that. So that's been a big change for me. So now I squat and enjoy it a lot. But that's probably like the most simplified version. I was very dumb when I was young. Didn't felt nice training upper body and then put the track pants on for the lower body. But with that, I've really, I think my whole body composition has really changed with that good coaching, and now I feel much more balanced and got a bit of junk in the trunk, and it's all good.
It's something that we all learn the hard way, I guess, is when we first start out in the gym, that you have a massive bodybuilder influence on you, because most people are training like that in the gym. You got you're targeting a certain muscle group, or it's push day, pull day, then legs. But then once like if you come into sport and continue to play for your senior life, is you need to understand how to train like an athlete, and prepare yourself to be able to play the sport, because that's what we're trying to do, is play the sport. We're not just trying to get really, really big and strong in the gym. We're actually trying to perform out in the field on the training paddock, but then also out there on the pitch on game day. So if you can learn how to train like an athlete, it's a much better way to train, even when you're not playing rugby anymore. I think having the same sort of training split is so much more beneficial, because you're also prioritizing your recovery, and you're not just overdoing it. Say it's chest day. You're not just doing 20, 30 sets of chest on one day, and then the next day you're doing the same for back. Like, you're doing enough to get a good stimulus and see some change and get some strength and some more muscle hypertrophy, but you're also allowing your body to recover. And if you can recover, then all facets of life are going to be better. So I think the concept of training like an athlete doesn't just apply for sport, it also applies outside when you're not playing sport anymore. It's such a great way to train and to maximize your time in the gym, and you don't have to go there 6 days a week. You can also do stuff outside of the gym as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that really sums it up nicely.
So how important is it to continue training as much as you can during an injury? What has been your experience in this space?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I've had a few injuries. I think more recently I've had some bulging discs. And in the past I probably would have just gone, I can't do this, or I try to train exactly the same, try and train through that, which slows down my recovery. But learning to train around it and to scale back my lifts to be able to still function with it has really helped that recovery. It's really important for me, and this is something I've learned, is to you can still train with an injury and you can still function. There's obviously some things that I'd say at the trauma of the event, like you're going to need a degree of rest, but it's really important to keep that movement, keep things activated. It promotes that recovery as well. It's sending blood flow to the area, but it's also about take your ego out of it and listen to your body. If and follow the advice of your plan, whether it's through a physio or a doctor or whatever it is. Like, they're the expert. It's not you. And if they're telling you to do something, that's for a reason. So that's and bouncing off a good SNC, I think, is really important. To you might not have, like, again, you're not the expert, so you need to listen to the SNC if they're telling you that you can modify a movement by doing this, or they have a greater range of knowledge in that space. So just listen to the people around you, but listen to your body as well.
Unfortunately, we don't know when our next injury is going to be, and let's say most of the time you do come back from that injury. You've done the rehab, you continued on your training, and you're back out there playing, and the area that was injured doesn't give you any concern anymore, and then something else happens. So it just really is important that you are continuing your training when you are injured, that when you do come back and playing, that you're back there playing for a long time. You're not just coming back from, let's say, a hamstring injury, but then I blow my shoulder out because I didn't keep up the training in my upper body gym work, and I just couldn't handle the contact, coming back to play. But my hamstring's all good. It's now my shoulder, and now you're off on the sidelines for a few more weeks. So yeah, you just don't know when the next injury is going to be. So why not continue the training and putting in the hard work so that when you come back, you're back. You're not going to get another injury for the rest of the year, hopefully. Or if you do, it's very minor, and you only have to adjust a few things during the week, but you can still play. So definitely keep up your training.
Yeah, no, it's spot on. And enjoy it. Like, training should be enjoyable. So it's going to be good for your mental health. It's hard enough when you're injured. So yeah, that way you can still be around people and still feel connected.
Yeah, 100%. So teammates, this is a topic that I think you've done quite well. From the time that I've known you, you've always been a really, really good teammate, and you know how to, express that onto other teammates. What makes a good teammate on and off the field in your eyes?
It's trust, I think. Trusting that your mate's got your back, and knowing they're going to back you, or trust that if you make a mistake, you trust that they're going to try and make up for it. Or I think that's something that really builds that connection and camaraderie. It's the trust in your teammates to do their job, to not, if you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. They're not going to rip into you too much, but also that they understand the direction that you want to achieve. So for me, trust and trust and work ethic. I think that's a big thing. Like, people that aren't afraid of working hard, and they're not necessarily the big flashy players, but will toil away. Like, I've got a lot of respect for those type of players. Put in the effort every single week. Like, I love being around those type of blokes.
If you have trust, it just allows many other things to be explored, and you can just be yourself as well, because you trust that person's going to do the work and put in the effort to then be the best that they can be, which is going to help the team. And I couldn't agree more with trusting each other, respecting each other, and just putting in the work. Because if you've got a high work ethic, it's going to make your teammate want to work hard as well. And that's just nothing bad's going to happen from that if you do the hard work. Because at the end of it's a long season, you need to put in the work if you want to be there playing finals footy. So off the field, I think being a good teammate is everything that you've said in terms of keeping the culture alive in the rugby club, keeping the traditions. It's going to the after match functions. It's staying around supporting the next team or next teams playing that day. It's being there for the tunnel when your teammates are running out. It's being there for a win, and it's also being there for a loss. It's also helping pack up the field and set up the field. Not every club has the resources and volunteers available, so you might have to get up an hour early before that you would normally get up and go down to the field and help out. It's maybe spending 10 minutes on the barbecue to help out. It's doing all those little things, I think, becomes a really good teammate off the field. And again, if your club's thriving like that, it's only going to make the performance on the field a lot better as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can always tell a good club by their the people that are sticking around and doing all those little extra things. And when everyone's doing that, that's when you really feel that community and that love there, and that's what you want to be around.
And it's also going to the special functions you have throughout the year where you just get a bit rowdy and have a bit of a party and get on the beers and stuff like that. It's also doing that, going out and showing a different version of yourself and letting your hair down for a little bit and just having a good party with your teammates.
Absolutely. No, that's I think that's so important, like that bonding outside of the footy field. There's sayings around like teams that drink together win together. That you don't necessarily need to drink, but I think that probably more encompasses like teams that spend time with each other outside of the football field, build those connections that you can bring onto a football field.
Yeah, 100%. So, who have been some of your favourite teammates to play with and why?
Look, mate, probably Matt Logson has been a really, really good teammate and mate outside of football as well. I love his work ethic, his aggression. He gets community and he gets giving back to a club. Mitch Ty is another one that springs to mind because he's a West junior. Me and him are very alike. Our dads played together. He has an absolute motor on him and the biggest bucket ass I've ever seen. Another one that is newer to the club is Angus Burns, and it's pure heart. He is one of the hardest, toughest blokes I've played with, and I don't know how it happens, but we seem to, when one's going high and one's going low, it usually is both of us, and we seem to whack together. So I love playing with Burnsy. Jeff Cox is another one that's just all energy. He's another West junior, but just full of energy, and you got to contain him a little bit. But he's just like your typical pest halfback, absolute menace on and off the field. But he's also a lot of fun. And then probably Ryan Kiley is another one, a great leader in the club. One of the biggest motors I've ever seen. Had a crazy progression. Went from being 1 year a decent football player to being an elite rugby player in the span of one season. And he's one that I look up to, and we have a very good bond on and off the field.
I think the cool thing is they're all different. You know, they're not just the same teammate with the same attributes. They're all different people who bring different things to the rugby club and to the game. And yeah, I would agree with all those players that you mentioned because I do know them as well, having coached them. But yeah, they all bring something unique to the club, and you definitely need people like that in your club because it's just going to drive the organization forward. And it also makes training and playing so much more fun and more enjoyable having teammates like that on the field.
Yeah, yeah. Teammates that are also your mates. Like
Mm.
you want to play hard for your mates, and they play hard for you.
100%. So, what is the best way to build team cohesion and bring a bunch of rugby athletes together to become a better team? Because every year we have new people come to the club and want to be a part of the team. But yeah, how do you bring just 15 random people together to strive towards something that they haven't achieved?
I think uh, I think preseason is really important in that working through that adversity. That you know you're in the box, like you're working. Everyone's working hard together. Like something you experience together um, is a big thing. And then to be able to spend time outside of football together, um, I really make an effort to invite new players to different things. Like you have your own little groups within the team, and that's very natural. But um, making the effort. Right, today we're all gonna get together. We're gonna go play a game of touch, or we're all gonna like play some cricket together, or we're gonna go to the pub, and whatever it is, try to get everyone together to build those bonds on and off the rugby field. But I think going through the adversity, something that is challenging, um, and then it's like getting everyone through that and supporting each other through that, I think is how you create a good team.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely agree with that. And yeah, so it's just like maybe going and doing a team challenge for a weekend. Like I've been at rugby clubs who've done that, going out and going up to Mount Kosciuszko and done some stuff like that, or it's just a series of challenges throughout the day or something along those lines can definitely be a way to create adversity and how you came over it, and then you can reflect during the season. Like, remember when we went and did that? How hard that was? That was messed up. That was so fucked. Like, we can get through anything. Let's reflect on what we did in the past, all that work we did to this moment. We can do this. We can bounce back from a loss or bounce back after halftime and really put a good performance in.
Yeah, it's about building stories with each other. Like that's when you're making great teams and great teammates. Building those stories together, achieving something or grinding through something, whatever it is. I think it's building those stories, building connection there.
100%. So moving on to the Triple H, a segment I love doing because it allows me to get to understand you better as a person and everyone else. We have done this at West Rugby. We did it a while ago, but it's definitely something I wanted to bring to the podcast as well. So hard.
Um, Look, I think probably something that really stuck out to me was when I was in Colts. Um, I'd play Colts and then I'd bench second grade. Um, and then our second grade team was unreal that year, and they made it to the grand final. And it was between me and one other player um, of who was going to get that last spot on the bench, and I didn't get it. Um, and that team went on to win the grand final, and I was devastated. Um, but what I learned out of that was resilience, and because I could have easily like cracked the shits and packed up and gone, nah, I'm going to move somewhere else. But um, I loved the club and I loved my mates there, and it whilst it hurt, and you remember that sort of pain, you move through it, and you become stronger. So that's something that missing that grand final and seeing all my mates there celebrating and having the best time was tough. But knowing that I'd contributed to getting there was something that helped me get through.
Yeah, I can sort of resonate on that as well. Like the two grand finals that we had in Colts, first year we won, the second year we lost, but both of them I had to start on the bench. And it was, I don't know, it was a hard pill to swallow because, you want to be named in that team. You want to be out there, starting the game because it means you're the best player in that position. And it was hard because I knew the players who got selected above me were maybe a little bit better at the time, but I don't think they were better. That might just be my ego, just talking. But in my eyes, they weren't better. But I was able to then finish the game and finish as celebrating. But in the second year, we lost. But it's hard not getting selected. It sucks because you want to be there with your team through thick and thin, and you really feel like you can't contribute if you're not out there on the field. So I think it just comes back to any coaches out there listening. Like, if you are selecting a team each week and, for a grand final, if you're fortunate enough, really make sure that your communication skills are there to tell that player, like, yep, I'm not selecting you, unfortunately, because of these reasons, but you're still a part of the team. As you said, you're still contributed to the team throughout the whole year. So it doesn't mean that you haven't won the grand final just because you didn't play. Like, you have, if you do win that victory. So, yeah, just make sure that coaches out there that you definitely got your communication skills because it is a hard pill to swallow sometimes, not being selected for the team.
Yeah, definitely.
So next one, hero. Who was your hero and why is this person your hero, or if you got multiple heroes?
Probably starts off with my dad, as in from a rugby. Like, are we talking rugby heroes or heroes
Yeah,
in
it can be
life?
rugby heroes, it can be life. It's up to you, mate.
Yeah, probably my dad as a starting point. Um, just because I always feel like a hero needs to be within reach. I don't necessarily like you can admire like great people, but I feel like a hero and a mentor needs to be within reach of you. And so I think that for me, my dad is a hero of mine, um, and just hearing how his achievements in rugby, and then he was a 20-year fireman. You know, giving so much, and then just seeing how strong he is through various challenges in life. Um, and then from a professional point of view, I have various mentors that I have. So one of them that is probably worth mentioning is a guy called Brendan McGee. He was a teacher of mine when I was in year 9 and year 10. And he significantly changed, I guess, the trajectory of my life. He taught me around community and around leadership and giving, and how you work within a team. And that he's somebody that I still connect with, and um, he's a deputy principal down in Melbourne now, but we still talk, and that's for me. He took a group of some pretty challenging kids, and made us a team, and made us feel connected to school and enjoy our school. And that's what I wanted to replicate, and that's why I guess followed down the career of being an educator.
I really like that. A hero should be someone, out in reach that you have seen in person, like we often do say, like, an NFL star is my hero, or a movie star is my hero, just because of what they do. But just like they might be an idol. They can still be a hero. Who am I to say? You can still be a hero, but I think you might have some more heroes in your life if you just sort of maybe opened your eyes a little bit to the people who are making a really good contribution to your life and have made a really positive impact. You know, you could have a hero who has been in your life already that you just probably haven't classified them as a hero, you know, and I really like that saying that you said.
Yeah, I don't want to devalue people's ideas of who's a hero to them, because that's an individual thing. That's just my personal look. That,
Mm.
I look at, you can idolize someone, or you can go, right, I love their achievements, or I love what they do,
Mm.
but you don't know their deep ins and outs. And I think that's where I get that sort of lens from.
Yeah, I think we should, start a different trend and try and see that the people who are in our lives can be our heroes, and our mentors can be our heroes as well. I think paying a bit more attention to what's going on in your life can definitely add a lot of value. And if you tell that person, like, hey, I really appreciate everything you've done for me, I think they might not know that. So
Yeah,
why not
yeah,
go tell them, So, yeah.
100%, 100%.
So the last one, highlight. What is a highlight that stands out in your rugby career so far?
Um, one of the best experiences I've had in rugby was traveling to Malaysia and playing in the Malaysia Tens competition over there. Just it was an off season that we just basically put up a. I remember it was just a poster saying who wants to come, and a really, really good bunch of blokes. Like, it was coming off the back of our 2017 season that we had a really strong squad, really talented players, and unfortunately, one of the players is no longer with us. Kawa, he was a really, really incredible player and a really good human being. And just being able to spend a week over there playing as a professional athlete, living that life and enjoying the camaraderie and that a really high level competition against teams, international teams, was just such a buzz. And that was, I remember on that time really, really fondly.
That's awesome. I love how rugby can take you all around the world and meet so many unique people along the way as well.
Mm, definitely, yeah.
Mm.
It's been a real pleasure and a
Mm.
privilege.
That's awesome. It's a great sport that we most of us play. I just
Yeah,
coach, so.
yeah.
So that's all the questions that I have for today. It's been awesome to talk to you, KB. Who should be my next guest on the podcast? Is there any old or current teammates that should jump on for a chat?
um, I think you'd like I think of I like to think of guys that are that that get culture, that get what it means to be a good teammate. And for me, like, I think a really good teammate, someone who has a really good uh, idea on what it means to be a club, and how you contribute to that. I think either someone like Seb Loraway, um, is a prime example of that. He's also a fellow club captain of mine. Um, or Mitchell Ty is another guy that, both West Juniors, both love the club, understand giving back, and understand the importance of culture. So I think either of those guys would be fantastic to hear from.
Easy done. Lucky I know both of them quite well, which is good.
Yeah.
So if listeners do want to reach out, ask questions or just follow up on something or just give you a sneaky follow, where can they find you?
So you can find me on Instagram at it's Kyle Baulman, KYBAULMAN. Don't really use Facebook or anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably the best place. So if you want to hit me up on Instagram, I'll be happy to have a chat with anyone.
It's awesome. So thanks again for joining me today. It's been awesome to talk about leadership, and expand on that topic as well, because you don't have to just talk to people who are high up and being very, very successful, let's say in business or are at the top of the level in the Wallabies or anything like that. You can talk to anyone about that. And I think you've been a great example at West Rugby of being a leader for so many years, and you lead by example. So it was really cool to get to understand that more. It was awesome talking about strength conditioning and what's being a good teammate as well. So I think I've covered a lot of topics today that a lot of people get some good takeaway points. And I just really appreciate you jumping on and having a chat today.
Appreciate it, mate. And just on a side note, I want to thank you for having me on, and I've really appreciated your support in my rugby career and my progression, because you've had a really significant impact in I guess my understanding of my own body and how I can get the best out of myself. So, and understanding culture and teams. So that's been, when you talk about drawing on different people's strengths, I do draw a lot on what I've learned off you. So thank you.
That's all right. I appreciate it. Thanks, mate. All right. Catch you
Cheers,
later.
mate.
Thanks for tuning into another episode of Elite Rugby SandC podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, and rate Elite Rugby SandC on Spotify and YouTube, and make sure you follow us on Instagram. Sign up to become a beast via the link in the description or via Instagram page. So don't wait, make that good decision and join Elite Rugby SandC today and take your game to the next level. Thanks for listening.